Wanna cause no problems. I just wanna live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense. Me and my dons ain't mobsters, but you know when you see imposters. We know how to read them faces, same way you know how to read them comments. If you wanna talk, let's talk, but around here, make sure you walk and your talk is constant.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Death to Vanilla podcast. So excited to have you on here, watching, listening, however you're consuming this. I hope it's helpful for you, and I hope it helps you courageously create, boldly innovate, and experiment so that you get better than average results by doing something that's out of the box. And today we want to talk about how a brand can talk about itself without being boring or salesy. And don't we all want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Who doesn't want to talk about themselves? And we actually have an episode. Was it the last episode?
I think it might
2
have been
episodes
before.
ago.
Yes.
2 episodes ago. So go re-listen to it. We talk about how a brand can actually talk about itself by talking about its customers from their perspective. So go listen to that.
Yeah.
But this is a little bit different. How can a brand talk about itself without being boring or salesy? So I'm sure you've got some ideas. Let's hear them.
Yeah, definitely. I think that one thing that, I think we talked about this in an earlier episode as well, is that sometimes brands go in for the kill too fast, right? They go in, they're like, this is our product, buy it from us. But that's, people want to be nurtured into it. They want to have their hand held. They want to be introduced first. It's a slow
Buy me dinner
introduction.
first.
I know, take me out to dinner. But for brands, I think that a big thing is kind of letting people know you're still human, right? There's a human behind the brand and making the brand more personable to the customers. And I think it's also kind of showing those behind the scenes things. And I think that a good example of this is probably slime TikToks, right? When businesses that do like slime or whatever, they always do TikToks of them making the slime and then they voice over it with a customer story or their own story. It's a way of kind of selling their product without actually selling it. And it doesn't come off in like a kind of salesy way. It comes off in a genuine, this is our product, this is us making it, this is the process that we go through. And I forget who the stat is by, but I believe 83% of consumers are more likely to buy from brands who do the behind the scenes and show the product making process.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, for me as a nerd, I think it's super fun. And let's be honest, there is so many examples. Because, I guess my thing is what if our brand is a little boring or whatever else like that? I just want to let you know that there was a TV show about people who dig gold.
Yeah.
Right? So, there is all kinds of industries that, are by and far, not that interesting. We literally have reality TV shows on. Now, granted, we're watching it for the tea.
Yeah.
Right? But there are industries that are just not that crazy. Digging for gold is digging a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And then hoping that you find some gold, right?
Fingers crossed.
Spoiler alert, that's the whole plot, right? And so just realize that you may be surprised that people find what you do interesting. And like you talked about, you can always tie it in with another idea. So one thing in that vein, would want to encourage you to try to share is just a quirky and interesting fact about your industry that's pretty unknown. And this is awesome because one of the frustrating parts about being a specialist is that you know a lot about your product and your customer doesn't.
Yes.
And so there's always this bridging the gap of explaining it in a way that they understand it and connecting the dots because you're just so familiar with it and they're just not familiar with it. And so there's an inherent breakdown of communication that can occur, and it's just a lot of work to navigate that. So the other side then is that because you're a specialist, you know so much about your industry that you can share something kind of interesting and quirky. And so, dig deep, find those things that would be kind of wild that you can share that would be interesting. Maybe there's a way that someone physically reacts to thicker paper. And so you can be feel that? That's, carbon fiber 100 weight.
I can tell.
100 weight is the thing.
Hands just fell off when I touched it.
Wow. That'd be a very strong reaction. But it might be a quirky, interesting fact. So the other one that's really big that we talk about a lot, to be honest, is a brand talking about the values that they represent. And so they don't have to be political. They don't have to be, hot button social issues. Just values.
Yeah.
And they have to be authentic. And we talked about this in a previous episode that a brand that talks about values that actually doesn't truly represent them, it actually negatively impacts your brand quite a bit. But we're talking about like you're picking something that's like if trustworthiness is a value of your business, then like you have to like prove that it is, right? If all of a sudden, you know, I go on reviews and it's everyone's like, oh, like they tried to like pull this on me, then like clearly trustworthiness is not a part of your values, or your employees just aren't representing it well. So like, you know, be able to authentically share your values, and that'll connect with people who really care about those kinds of things. And like I said, they don't have to be political. They don't have to be social. They could be. You could choose to go down that route. It's a little risky, but you could. But yeah, being able to share those things builds that connection, builds that authenticity. And I think that's always a great thing for a brand. It's part of the humanizing process and part of what gets you to talk about yourself, but in a way that a customer actually cares about. Yeah,
definitely. I think that also the humanizing factor, like when you think about your friendships or your relationships in your life, you gravitate towards people who have the same values as you.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have the same ideology when it comes to, you know, businesses and brands, and, you know, what type of people do you want gravitating towards you?
Absolutely. And in fact, I think actually we do have a stat. So one stat that we actually shared before was one by Google. 62% of consumers say they're more likely to have a positive perception of a brand that shares values and beliefs similar to their own. So like you said, you don't generally have a large portion of your friend base be completely different views than you have. Certainly we have those sprinkled in, and that's healthy and all that jazz. But a positive perception of your brand is going to lead to a purchasing decision.
Yeah.
Because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And so if that's a positive perception, you move just a little bit closer to getting that money.
Yeah.
Making that impact.
Making it happen.
That's right. So that's how you can talk about your brand in a way that is not salesy, in a way that is actually interesting, connecting with your customer. If you have found ways that you talk about your brand that you think are particularly successful, that share the vision and the values of your company, that is neither salesy nor boring, let us know. We'd love to hear. We'd love to see more examples, because then when we make further episodes, we'll be like, hey, check them out.
Yeah.
If you have a challenge where you really finding it hard to be able to talk about your brand without just like selling, buy, then like let us know. Reach out to us, shoot us a message, email us, whatever it is, whatever platform you're watching on this. Shoot us a message. We'll actually see it, because we believe in the social part of social media.
Yes.
And we will get back to you, and we'll figure out a time to sit down and actually work out those details with you, because we desire to make life easier for a small business owner, to be actually give them that sigh of relief that says, you know what, we got this, we're going to help you. We are owning this piece of your we're putting out this particular fire.
Yes.
Right? And taking that ownership of it. So you go to sleep at night knowing that someone's in your corner fighting for you. That's exciting for us, because we've enjoyed that when someone does that for us. So thank you so much for watching the Death of Vanilla podcast. We can't wait to see you on the next season, as this is the final season.
Final season, yeah.
We'll catch you on the flip side. Yeah.
Wanna cause no problems. I just wanna live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense. Me and my dons ain't mobsters, but you know when you see imposters, we know how to read them faces, same way you know how to read them comments. If you wanna talk, let's talk, but around here, make sure you walk and your talk is constant.